Hi everyone, it's Jackie from RoseGoldLibrary, and it's super nice to see everyone again. I've been really excited. I've been making a lot of these types of kind of like reading journal type of books, mainly because I've been catching up with a lot of my summer reading. And I work at my university's library, and during the summer, while I can get busy, I have the option to read while I'm at work because I want to use, like basically all the library resources that they have. And this is, in the leisure section. So I was like reading that during my shift, and I realized I completely forgot that I seen the show for some reason on Amazon Prime. So when reading this, I was like, this sounds familiar. But also this is the illustrated version, so for some reason I did not clock it until I rewatched the show, and I can't wait for season 2 to come out. And reading Good Omens, it was definitely a treat. And I would say certain things in this book have aged well. They aged, but I will say that it was a funny read. But I will say, as a person from the US, and there was a lot of British culture memes. The closest thing I've gotten to British culture was my dad listening to Queens, but Queens in Spanish, like it's a Spanish rock cover from Mexico. But anyways, reading Good Omens and then seeing it how they played it out on Amazon was kind of fun to see. I will say that reading Good Omens, there was a lot of stuff that I didn't realize that I actually enjoyed, on how that the characters were so fun, and it wasn't, at least for me, it didn't feel boring. It felt like constantly fast-paced. I mean, it was the end of the world that's coming up. And this edition that I have is the 2019 edition. And I will say that there are some things that I was surprised that they kept. There are certain words that, at least from today's time, would clearly not get passed. But you know what? I mean, it's a book like from the before the early 2000s. So it was a while ago. But it was a fun read regardless, and how I'm just excited on all the joy it's brought to a lot of people, and how, at least for me, reading this book, I had a fun time reading this, even though I will say, at least this edition, because I'm not sure all the other editions, is that there are a lot of footnotes. For me, it felt like reading a giant mystery. I mean, it kind of was, but I guess the entire plot of both of them messing up was just hilarious, in terms of how the Antichrist just got mixed up in the hospital and then just lived a normal life, and the fact that the other baby that was mixed up in the entirety of it turned out to be one of the bullies that Adam, the Antichrist, had to face, was just so funny to me. Because I can't remember it now, but it's imagine the child that you technically gave birth to turned out to be so mean to your son. But overall, there were other moments where Aziraphale was just oh, I know that this suit was going to be stained blue, and just how it was all just back and forth, and how Crowley and Aziraphale truly cared about each other. And just a little quick remarks on just how they all were just so silly. And looking this as someone from like now, when this was being written, it seems very contemporary. I'll say this. Like, I mean, for example, like thinking about the Atlanteans. I mean, it's so funny to think about like aliens and Atlanteans, knowing that this was like written in the 80s, I believe, or at least that's what this book was saying that it was like first originally published. But yeah, it just felt so modern and so new. And even though that there are so many like references that, like, for example, Crowley likes to listen to Queen, like, I feel like any single person, at least right now, since Queen is one of the biggest, like, you can't go to a movie soundtrack without listening to a Queen song, not gonna lie. At least that's in my personal experience. Like, everyone knows a Queen song, or at least something from Queen. And I think just how their personalities always, like Crowley and Aziraphale, kind of like clash but also mixed together. It was truly something that was fun to see. And just the absurdity of it all. Like, imagine that you that one day the work that you put in to raise a whole child, and then realizing that was the wrong child, took me out. I couldn't stop laughing. And just, at least for me, reading this, I genuinely found it so fun on how the authors and also like the illustrator, at least for this book that I was reading, just were having a blast with everything. And the only thing that I will say, at least, that there were some things that I didn't understand, like, kind of like, because it is based on British humor. In this book, where they were doing interviews, at the end as like an extra bonus, they were saying how like some publishers and other parts of the world just did not even include the footnotes. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. But also, it was kind of funny reading the footnotes because everything in this book had a personality to it. And that's why I think this book was just having a blast, because everyone here, regarding like the world building, it felt so real. And at least how everything was built, I just enjoyed. I'm kind of glad that it's just only one book, because it felt like an end. But I am glad to see that there's going to be a new season. And thank you everyone for watching, and I hope everyone here has a great day. Goodbye!